Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial from the Reaper blog. I am John. Today I'm doing the mix, and this song I'm working on has this kind of weird electronic part at the end, and it gives me an opportunity to show you some tricks using parameter modulation and channel mixers and things like that. So here's what we got. And this is one of the things that I've done in this project to make this part more interesting. And it's kind of subtle, but it's based on parameter modulation for the low pass filter on the sub bass. And bypassed. It's a pretty subtle change, but I think this helps manage the low end a little bit, keeps that sub drop tighter. So I'll show you how that's set up. You touch the parameter you want to change, the filter frequency here. Click on parameter and go to parameter modulation. And this looks kind of complicated, but don't worry, it's pretty simple. You enable the parameter modulation up at the top, and that enables this parameter to move automatically. I'm using the audio control signal, which is actually channels 1 and 2 of the same track. And this can be a separate track if you have multiple channels for this track. I have the attack at 0, release at 300, which is the default. The strength parameter is how far from the starting point here up to the top point that the filter is going to go up when the threshold is passed, which is this -24 amount. And then over on this side, we've got the audio control signal shaping. And that lets you go from a linear curve to really any shape curve. And that modifies the response. And you can experiment to see how things work with that. So with linear, straight line, it's going to be the same speed going up and down, and convex or concave changes kind of the start and end points of those. So this is a slower return back to the minimum value, and this is a faster return back to the minimum value. So somewhere like this works for this particular sound. You can also do things like changing the bandwidth of this filter so it's got a bit of a resonance. So here's flat, and then I'll bump it up for the second one. Which makes it a little more drastic and a little more noticeable. So now I'm going to do the same thing, but on the folder track. The sounds going through this track are going to have an EQ on it. I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm using a high pass. So the filter is going to go up whenever that sub bass tone comes in. So it's going to come up and then slowly come down, letting through that bass note by filtering out everything that's in the signal. Now, the kind of a weird thing that you have to do with this is because the track is inside its own folder, you have to send from channels 1 and 2 on the 808 track or the sub bass track into inputs 3 and 4 of the folder track. And in order to hear that sub bass coming through without being filtered, you need to use some sort of mixer plugin. So this is just set on the default settings. So we can fine tune the level of the sub bass. We can turn it off completely. And I'm going to do that so that we can hear the filter effect without the sub bass. And in order for us not to hear it doubled, we have to also disable the parent send on the sub bass track. So I've got a send here going at unity to channels 3 and 4 of the effects folder track. And then I've got ReaEQ, and the frequency is going to be modulated like so. And I've turned off the audio output for the sub bass track, so we're just going to hear the filter and the background track being triggered by that sub bass. I know this is kind of confusing, but once you hear it, it'll make sense, I'm sure. So you can hear all the low end drops out whenever that sub hits. So then there's no worry about buildup of frequencies in similar range. So let's hear that again, but with the sub-bass in the chain. And let's go back to our starting point so you can hear how this started without any of those effects on it to compare. So before and after, it's kind of a subtle change, but I think it works better. And it's the accumulation of little subtleties like this that can make a mix really special. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope you've learned something. Hope you can use this in your own projects. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Support the Reaper blog with Patreon. And visit reaperblog.net for a lot more tutorials.